Well, I've gotten a lot of questions about the bookshelf door, so I'm just going to go ahead and go through a little bit of it and what I did to make it. I did everything from scratch, and I'll kind of go through and talk about it here, but just go ahead and open the door for right now and show you a couple of the commonly asked questions. One of the ones I get a lot is, what was the gate latch that I used? So we'll go ahead and take a look at it. As you can see, it's just a basic gate latch, and as the book actually gets pulled, it lifts up the latch. So when the door is closed, it's nice and easy. Actually, if you really wanted to, you can actually lock the door. So like this, pulling up on the book will not release it. It has to be undone. Book pulls up, undoes the latch, you can open it. It's pretty easy. I think the gate latch was like $11 at Home Depot. Pretty easy to work with. To attach it to the book itself, all I did was have a eye hook right there, and that little wire actually just attaches right to that eye hook. There's a hinge right there. And once I actually stop making the video, I'll hook it back up again. The books are another question I get a lot. How did I make the books hollow? There are some real books on here. Put down a tape measure here. There are some actual books up here. I think it's the second one here. And you can put some real books on it. You just have to remember that the hinges that I have aren't exactly made to hold a lot of weight. So not all of them are fake, but the majority are, just because of the sheer weight of the bookshelf door. Now, so the books, what I had to do to make them hollow is I took the book itself and I actually split the book. So I opened the book over, and then inside the pages I just cut out the middle section. So what I did was I opened the books up and I just split it along this seam here, flipped it to the other side of the book, cut it along that seam, and then I actually chopped off about the first inch or so in my saw, and then just put some wooden spacers in there so the pages wouldn't fall down. They'd actually look real the whole time. So, you know, if you take that that real one, and this fake one, and you stand them side by side, and you can't tell that much of a difference, which was the whole goal. So one's just considerably lighter than the other. Easy to do, easy to make. What I did was I went down to my local Habitat Restore, and I said, hey, do you have any books that are garbage, you can't sell, or water damaged? All I need is the outside shell. The guy made me a really good deal, got rid of a bunch of crappy Reader Digest books for him, and got rid of an encyclopedia. What I did for the hinges, you can see that they are offset hinges, which just means that normally with a hinge you'd actually have the hinge piece right here. Well, with an offset hinge it actually goes back about an inch or so. And what that allows is the doorway to have a much wider opening. So when I actually open this bookshelf up, as you can see, you know, it's much wider than a normal door. When I actually open this up the entire way, so if I have my door open the whole way, I'm not losing that much of my doorway itself. You can tell that my normal 30-inch door is only reduced to about, 28 inches or so. It's not a big deal. Most of the bookshelves that I've seen have a pivot point that basically sits right here on the shelf, which makes it a little awkward, and they actually pivot and turn opposed to swing open. And what I found with that is just you lose a lot of space in the door. It wouldn't be bad if you're using it for a crawl space or using it for something like a wine cellar, but this was access to my bonus room where I have my projector and everything, so I didn't want to lose a lot of room in case I needed to move furniture in and out. Another big question I get a lot is this gap down here at the bottom, and there is a considerable gap at the bottom because of the carpet. And right now this is a pretty plush carpet, but what we'll end up doing is actually removing this and putting a much lower profile carpet in. And at that point, I will actually put in a caster wheel right here to help support the bookshelf and have a little bit more support so we can actually go put in more real books. But to hide that gap, what we ended up doing was I have this little piece of molding down here, and you can tell that this was my first time ever doing this because there's a much larger gap than what I would like. You can see it right here. And when the windows and everything are closed, you don't get that light through the back of it. The lights are off in the bonus room. It's just not there. But this little piece of quarter round fits with the rest of the quarter round. This side looks a little better. But it's just removable. It's loose. If that wasn't here, you actually have a considerable size gap. Take out a little tape measure here. So you can see that there's a fairly good sized gap. But that's there. Open the door again. That's there because the carpet clearance just isn't that much. But once we get that lower carpet in here, it'll be a lot better. To fix the gap over here, it's all about the hinges. This is my first time actually doing hinges, and I suck at it. So if I were to do it again, I'd actually invest in a router and go through. I actually hand chiseled these out, and the words "never again" came out of my mouth quite a bit. So to go through some of the measurements of the door, let's see here. So the door bookshelf is what, 5.5 inches deep. The outside is about the same. Yeah, it should be. Lengthwise, it's just as tall as a regular door. You're looking at 77 something. I think it ended up being like 78 3/4 or 79 1/4 or something. For the door closing part, you can kind of see what I did. It's really ugly, but there's a gap right here, so when the door actually closes, it misses this first part, and then it can actually keep going. If I had it just continue out the whole way, you'd actually see where it's starting to hit already up there, but that's just because of the weight of the bookshelf. You can hear it click in. The clearance, you don't need a lot. I think it was mainly like 1/2 inch or something. It wasn't a ton of clearance. You can see it's just barely making it over. And this actually was the door frame already. All I did was cut off a little bit of the, I think it was like a 1x4. I cut off a little bit of the 1x4. If you have any questions about it in particular, about what I used, it's basically, 1/2 inch plywood or 3/4 inch plywood, just a simple backing, and overall it wasn't a hard project to do. I did it over a weekend. The hardest part actually was just getting the decorative pieces to actually work. When you actually stand back, it looks pretty good. Like I said, normally it's all closed up and you can't tell if there's anything behind it. For the back side, I would definitely recommend doing something on the back of the door. I just never got around to it. This is the least used room in my house. It's not too bad. What you could do is use some decorative molding to really kind of make it look like a normal door, but that's up to you. The offset hinges I definitely recommend. I heard a lot of people say piano hinges, but you can do whatever you want. Thanks, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave any in the comments.